Hi all, welcome back to Sunshine City Show. Today I want to discuss with you Templars and how a lot of us have dreamed of being the hero, the Templar, that kind of thing. And Freemasonry plays on a lot of that because their mythology goes back to Templars and also goes back to the stonemasons who also go back to Solomon Temple and stone building and bringing their craft of stonemasons, that kind of thing. And that's what Freemason recruitment is all about. And they recruit people of Christian ideology who are trying to make a change in the world. And see, it is for the betterment of the world, we would think, because they give to communities and they're trying to create a better world. But in doing such a thing, I think they'd be going for world peace. They recruit, as I've told you before, Freemasons recruit politicians, that kind of thing. And they're creating a betterment of mankind. And that is a good thing. However, these things, unfortunately, can be abused. And with the wrong people, Satanists, that kind of thing, getting into the movement, and they've admitted in some of their, because they have break-offs, kind of like the churches do, where they have Presbyterians and Anglicans and Catholics. Well, the Freemasons have the same problem. They have break-offs. So they have been infiltrated, and pretty much the same thing that's happened to the church, where they've been infiltrated. The church has been infiltrated, the world church, the Pope, the Jesuits, Illuminati is probably the word, where they've infiltrated the world church and all the organisations. They've infiltrated Freemasons and their good works. And for sure, you know, when they adopted the Templar philosophy and they love symbolism and adopting these things, the problem with the Templars and the reason that they fell from 1100 to 1300s is they adopted a lot of the Muslim idols, that kind of thing. And that's one thing that, as you read in the Bible, that when you start adopting the idols into your groups and your societies, that's when things start to go splatter. And for sure, they have the Bible in the front of the Masonic Lodge, but the problem is they do the rituals on the Bible, which is not a good thing to do. You can swear on the Bible, but you don't do a ritual on a Bible, and you never swear to God anything. And in these secret societies, they swear to God, and you're not meant to do that because your word is very, very important. And in the Bible, it talks about your word. It talks about Jacob tricking Esau to give away his birthright by verbally giving it away. And your word of mouth and what you say is very, very important. And that's why George Bush, when Skull and Bones, won't give away us anything on Skull and Bones. He just will clam up, change the topic, won't give anything away. And John Kerry, also Skull and Bones. So those two, Skull and Bones. And they talked about John Kerry going to Antarctica, talked about John Kerry chasing around Trump and undoing everything that Trump did. Pretty much him and Obama going around. Now, I don't think, well, we don't know who's in Skull and Bones, but we do know John Kerry and George Bush were in it. And there's another secret society called Behemoth Grove, which is very, very similar. And the Skull and Bones one was Yale University. Behemoth Grove is in California, of course, you know, where the Witches' Grove is, and has links to that. And they bring all the celebrities, and the Skull and Bones go there. So they're all linked up. All these Illuminatis are all linked up. The Freemasons go there as well. There's been people that have broken off from the Freemason movement and are saying that it is the pyramid of the eye. So you have Macron going up there with his little V shape with two other guys on the left and right. No idea who they are because they're not from Europe. Someone in the EU might know who they are. But he gets up there doing the Illuminati triangle thing. And, you know, Hollywood have been doing the Illuminati triangle. And that's another thing that's going on right now is they're trying to prosecute the people in the Epstein Island. But what's happening now is Hollywood and Netflix coming out with movies right now. I watched one TV series where a young man barely 16. Had 2 lesbian parents, which is fine. Had no problem with that. Had to adjust. It's not the normal stable family. When you're watching TV, you have to get into his life of having these parents. He goes to the army camp in Italy. You might know the TV series I'm talking about. I can't think of the name. And it looks all right. But as you're watching a 15, 16-year-old, someone gives him, just on the street, gives him a carton of wine. Then he goes to his mum, who's barely got anything on, hugging him right to a groin. And I thought it was kind of inappropriate to be watching this. And so they're trying to, with cuties and TV right now, they're trying to create an acceptance of pedophilia, that kind of thing. And acceptance of gay movements and all that kind of thing. Because all the head heroes that we're watching now are all gay. And it's kind of hard as a straight guy. I was not. When the first time I saw guys kiss, I was shocked. And it's something I didn't want to see. I keep seeing it all the time now. It's quite normalized. I've adjusted my thinking to it. Not a bad thing anymore. But when the first time I saw it, it was horrible. And, people can do this in their private lives. But now the TV is making it in my private life. So they want me to be more accepting of it. But then they go one step further. They want to bring pedophilia into it, that kind of thing. And it's trying to normalize it right now. And so Netflix has taken a bit of a beating over this cuties thing and finally apologized with the trailers. They ignored everybody. I mean, literally, you can go online, read the comments, and everyone is complaining and trying to find someone that's supporting cuties, and nobody is supporting it. And if they were, they'd be probably too scared to, And I was going on trying to find some liberal followings of cuties, and I couldn't find it. And so people had really went against it. But Wild Tomatoes, they were 90% in favour of it. And whereas the normal population, 5% in favour of it. So this is the problem today. And so I'll go back to where we were on this Freemason thing, always wanted to belong to something like that, where you're fighting the enemy. And that's what Freemasons was meant to represent, fighting the enemy. But now they're representing the enemy. And somehow it all changed around. And with the Templars and them being corrupted in 1312, they were disbanded by the Pope. The French king wanted some money off the Templars, and they wouldn't give it to him. And so he decided to take them out and committed homosexual acts, made them commit homosexual acts on each other, that kind of thing. I've heard even in Chaz City today in USA that I don't know if it was true, that they were going through this apartment and they were smashing through and stealing people's furniture and everything and committing homosexual acts in front of their wife and the children on the guy in the flats if they didn't have any money for the Chaz City. And I've heard a lot of horror stories. I mean, they're meant to represent blacks, and then they had blacks dying in there. They had a guy get hurt. They wouldn't let the medical team in. He died 2 days later. They had 2 guys in a black van. First they had Louder with Crowder driving in there, went right to the middle where they were doing a circle, and then Antifa were chasing them all over town, couldn't find them, and later that day they shot up a car with 2 black guys in it, probably thought that was Louder with Crowder, because they call him Quarter Black Gareth, so he's got Quarter Black, and so they were probably looking for black guys, and so they just shot up this vehicle of their own, 14 and a 16-year-old, and shot it up, 300 bullets. So this is America today, and this is the media. Media have backed up Chaz City. So you think, well, why? Media backs it up. The whole of society is against Trump right now. And someone put out a video recently in saying that Trump could be playing the other game, where he pulls the money out of the World Health Organization, gives it to Gavi instead, who are also giving the money to World Health Organization. They say that Trump could be playing a double game. I think it would be difficult in a world to be the one leader in the world that's opposing vaccines. He's fast-tracked. He has tried to promote a hydro drug, so he's trying to do. So it's hard with him playing 3D chess. No one knows where Trump is at stage. But then you've got Alzheimer's Biden that will do anything that's bought out by China. I mean, you couldn't really support him. There's the option of independence or the guys in the middle, or going for the Republicans for Trump. And we have a similar problem in New Zealand. National and Labour, two sides of the same coin, New World Order. They gave United Nations in 2008. You have all the Christian leaders stepping down in National Party, Labour, very socialist. And it's very, very strange because you had the Christchurch thing. You had the killer. They wouldn't name him. And if you have a name, then you can research the name and do your little bit. Because you know that media is tainted. That media doesn't represent the truth. Yet she believes that the police, who are pretty much all Freemasons, can give her the truth. Now, if the killer is a Freemason, and it looks like he could be, why would Freemasons win their secret society? It's not really that secret, but if their secret society is saying that you can't prosecute each other, you're not going to bring a Freemason or get dirt on him. And so if you see something, you pretend you didn't see it, right? It's a Freemason, and they look out for each other, and stuff goes missing and into the bin. And that's kind of what Freemasons do, and that's the problem. So once you recruit them in politics, that kind of thing, they're going to look out for each other. They're going to look out for them in media and everywhere else. And there are a lot of Freemasons out there. It's not that many, but they're recruiting the smartest, the political minds. You can pay $200-300 a year, and you can be a Freemason that way. A lot of money to waste. It's kind of like a gym membership. Becoming a Freemason. And so the ideology was that you're meant to be fighting the enemy, and I'm sure that the people at level 1 and 2 believe that. But as you get up through the ranks, you realise that there's more to the Satanism type of thing. Level 3, you're pretty much a Freemason, and all the rituals from there on are just a bit of extra Satanism that you didn't probably need. And you go up through the levels to your 33rd one, which is a pretty sinister level to get. And from there on, I've been told that that's witch levels that nobody knows about. So you become a 33-degree Mason, and from there you can become a witch. But with the witches, they recruit each other from the level 33, and then they study witchcraft. And so there's been politicians like Hillary Clinton that have been accused of being a witch. Was going to Behemoth Grove. Would you believe Behemoth Grove's meant to be where the witches are, which is just a secret society. And so these witches, there was a witch that converted. I can't find him on YouTube anymore. This was a good 15 years ago. Revealed all the truths, and revealed how he had to be a Catholic priest. He could only become a non-denominational Catholic priest to become a witch. He had to do all these things. But he reckoned he was working for the common good, still trying to work for the common good, but he was doing witchcraft and that kind of thing because he believed that he became a Christian later on and realized that this was all wrong and that he was working for the enemy, and this witchcraft that he was doing wasn't from God, because their God is a different God from the real God. This is Lucifer, Satan, basically, the goat god kind of thing. And so the Templars were a little bit corrupted as well. They saw this technology, they wanted it. And so the other line of Freemasons is the stonemasons in Scotland. So originally the stonemasons would be in a guild and they'd recruit each other, and it was kind of like a secret club. Well, not really a secret club. It gave them, when they were in that guild, it gave them access to, as a tradesman, to build on real good work like castles and churches. They were the first to be recruited because they were real tradesmen. They didn't have licenses back then. And from there on, it developed into something more because the English were picking on the Scots and the Irish and start kind of wiping them out. Scotland had its own king-queen system, and England had its own king-queen system. And eventually in 1646, one of the lords of England adopted this Mason thing. And in 1717, 4 Grand Lodges were built, or 1 Grand Lodge, I'm not sure, but 4 buildings of the lodge were built and 1 Grand Lodge. And from there on, England became a Grand Lodge, but it was pretty much a Scottish thing. And when you look back, even in New Zealand, most of the Masonic lodges were all Scottish. And they had a different name back then, I forget what the name was. And so my father's generation, grandfather's generation, they were all, pretty much everyone that went to church were all Freemasons, because they were Christians for the betterment. And so over a period of time, I think these things got corrupted. The Pope Catholic Church called out the Freemasons in recently, 1987, I think it was. 1987, they called them out, and that they should not be in the church. Unfortunately, you see the Pope now giving out Masonic symbols, that kind of thing, and so the Freemason movement went right up into the Pope. And whereas the old days, when the Pope disbanded the Templars in 1312, they disbanded them because they were worshipping idols, that kind of thing. Now you see the Pope in the in Rome with dragons and that kind of thing in the and all these Masonic symbols. So they've been taken over the whole system. They call them Jesuits, kind of like Illuminati types, and Freemasonry is that in there as well. So there's different types in the pyramid where the Illuminati are a lot higher than the typical Freemasons are at the bottom level, because there's a lot of Christians in the bottom level, and they're working towards world peace and betterment of mankind. And that's part of the problem, is the world peace is going to, they want to recreate the money system, and recreating the money system's the mark of the beast money system, becoming a moneyless mark of the beast. And I don't think they quite understand it and whose side they're on, and it's very, very awkward right now. I mean, the easiest one to talk to, if you're going to talk to the God or devil, is the devil, and the devil's always there. And sometimes you're not probably aware. You really, really pray to Jesus through to God to make sure that you are going to the right, because if anything, God, the devil hates Jesus more than anything in the world. That's who he hates for what he did, that we could die and go to heaven because of Jesus. Our sins can be forgiven, so that's why. But anyway, thank you all. Hope that sheds some light to Freemasonry. I think they mean well, the Freemasons, but unfortunately they are at the bottom, and they've done a lot of damage with the politicians, that kind of thing. And when they become a politician and they get to some level of importance, they get selected higher. The Illuminati start to take notice, and they become more Illuminati than they become Freemasons. So the higher they go, the more important they go, and they get looked after, and they're obviously going to be voted in, because as the Skull and Bones, they had such a support network going on, and they are a form of Illuminati. Anyway, thank you all.